great to see Pat. We're on? Oh, hi guys. Good evening. Thanks. Okay, maybe there was some music, maybe there was a beginning. I have no idea because I didn't hear it. So that's what it
Way
looks
to
like
just
when
play
we
that
start a
one
show.
off.
I'm just being quiet, waiting for the crew to go. You know, I'm trying to be a good guy. You know, not be mean like, well, are we on yet? Or whatever, some kind of friggin' Bill O'Reilly moment. You know, screaming at the crew. Hi, Vince Edwards here. You may know me from Sound Image Productions. I also got a couple close road groups on Facebook. One called The Backstage Pass, another one called Death by Loadout. You're here tonight at Beyond the Backstage Pass with me and my good friend Kyle Thomas. How are you, my brother?
Great, man. It's good to see you, Vinny.
Dude, Kyle, it's been so lovely having you around. You bring a breath of fresh air to the building. You're helping out with some of the more technical difficulty type challenges of the game, and we love it. How's life treating you?
Good, man. I know half of that was shit, but I love you.
Just being totally nice. It doesn't play well on TV.
I'm just kidding. We had a really good time earlier on this week. Greg Price came through and threw a nice big barbecue for us, so we all got to sit and kind of take some time
Let's sit
off.
with that for a second. Like, that was crazy, man. There was crazy amount of ribs. Those ribs were a trip, dude. They had this weird alcohol thing going on with them.
I loved them.
And like in the marinade, you know, it was real. Yeah, if you're like that Jack Daniels like barbecue sauce type vibe, that would have been good for you. Tri-tip, that was amazing. My brother got that from
your brother pulled through.
Famous like meat place he goes to, this crazy place.
What do you do? 4 hours smoking that thing out front, so our whole shop just reeked like God.
Yeah, and then those special homemade sausages things and then different. Yeah, it was crazy. Some wonderful hamburgers that Greg had made himself, made the patties and brought them in. You know, fucking great price.
It was very nice.
It was very sweet. We had all kinds of treats. We had wonderful salads and it was a full real deal stuff and the big tables down the middle of the shop and. Yeah, really sweet. So thanks to the boss, George Edwards, and to the great Greg Price. And that was on behalf of Diablo Digital Incorporated. So let's remember that. The wonderful, if you're looking for some recording equipment, some Pro Tools rigs, reach out to Diablo Digital. They're the best in the game.
Yeah, man. And we've just been training, still doing classes here. We're trying to do once a week. We'll get the guys in and just go over some console stuff still. Today as well, I went down to Rick and Lauren's house. Rick, drummer at Def Leppard, and his wife's band. They came out with this new CD here. It's called Messages from Aphrodite. It's really nice. She just finished it up with this gentleman, Jim Scott, down in L.A.
Scott's quite the producer.
He sure is, yeah.
He's got some amazing credits. Check him out. This is much of the work that we've done with her that she's she's recorded. Yeah, it's a solid, amazing effort. Yeah, she's a great singer, and she's Rick on the drums, and people like Bentmont Trench, people from like the Heartbreakers, and supporting the album. A bunch of hired guns, a bunch of the top musicians. Yeah, can't be nothing but pretty. So check it out, Lauren Monroe.
Yep. And me and you got out of the house last weekend. We went to go see our buddy Alan Pettibone that usually does our lights here.
That's right, over at the great Shoreline.
Yeah.
It's kind of one of the smaller but really great venues in the city, Bay Area kind of. It's in Mountain View, California. And what the hell was that? It was
Incubus and Sublime with Rome.
Yeah, right, Sublime. I was checking out the whole, well, you know how we do. And I was enjoying a great deal the crew for Sublime. They had a great crew. They were the guitar guys were on. There was a few special guests. Some of the guitar techs were fucking crackerjack. And then their turnaround when they flipped out of there and dropped in. Do you remember that transition between Incubus?
It was like
Sublime
10 minutes.
And Incubus. It was pretty seamless, man.
And then the front of house guy for Sublime, Mike. His last name's slipping my head right now, but super nice guy. Usually tours with Eddie Kaipo. It was really nice to run in and listen to his mix. Was killing it.
Yeah, it was a really solid effort. Yeah, bunch of pros.
I got Sum 41 and Simple Plan on here.
Yeah, we did this. I believe this was the end of last week. The great Greg Rideout came through, Monitor God, and Greg's always had this thing where he's always been like throwing the drums too, just for an added kick, because he's one of the better drum techs out there. And so he was up with in the city at the Masonic, which is a pretty bitchin' little room to play. I don't know, 3,000-4,000 seater, and the 741 came through, and we took the director of the show, who's directing right now, co-director, Zach Watkins, up there, and he got in and hung out with Greg and saw what they were getting up to. They had I think they had a D&B rig in the air.
Oh, bummer. Where the hell was I?
I don't honestly know, because of the whole "not your mother" thing.
I bet you I was still out on tour when he came by. Oh, that's cool, though.
But yeah, it was quite enjoyable, and but mostly a kick in the pants to hang out with Greg. He's just a dear friend, sweetest guy ever.
Totally. Just want to give a shout out to our lighting crew here that did Widespread Panic for 3 days up in at Oxbow River Stage.
Well, if you know anything about Widespread Panic, certain bands have certain things they bring to the table.
Oh, like giant lighting rigs like them?
Yeah, and Widespread Panic goes big. They did 3 days. It was partly a makeup thing from COVID, and it was one of the festivals we were taking care of. And Widespread Panic, that's what they do. They're a jam band. They kind of in the tradition of Fish or Grateful Dead, and do those long ass songs, and I imagine the audience is primed to see really bright, twinkly lights.
Well, you and your brother has like a really cool name for it. I think they're called taffy pullers because they dance like this.
Yeah.
I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, that's true. I have heard that terminology before. I'm not sure.
So you made a lot of taffy pullers pull a lot of taffy out there.
So, but the big light show was very successful.
Awesome. And we got Leon Bridges coming up this weekend, don't we?
Yeah. Same festival, and I think it closes with Bonnie Raitt. And just putting in the work, man, doing that thing we do out here representing, and putting on big shows, good shows, fun times.
Yeah. Well, dude, I'll tell you, past couple of days have been like an insane heat wave here. Just driving up from down south, it was like 105 down where I was this morning.
So where you were this morning is where my chick and I stay, and more or less within a couple miles of that place. And to think that it was 105.
Oh, dude.
I'm just totally trying to get my head around that, because there's a really nice ocean there that keeps us cool for the most part.
Well, it didn't get the memo. It didn't get the memo today. And it's been the same thing at our shop. Not as harsh.
Yeah, no, right now it says that says it's 76, but I'm actually sweating. That is total bullshit over there. I'm not buying that. I know it's wrong.
Not in a second.
But I've also seen that thing said 103 before, and I was kind of like, I don't know. It seems, I don't know. It's a show business clock. You can't really trust it. I'm surprised.
We've been fighting through some temperatures, though,
Yeah.
So I hope everything's been all right with everybody.
Well, it does give gear challenges. We see that a lot.
Oh, it definitely does.
The gear out in the field and the outdoor shows, sometimes even indoor stuff, you got to get creative, and people get creative because the gear sometimes responds harshly to these temperatures, and the crew got to keep them hydrated, man. It's it's a real part to being successful is understanding that.
Well, it needs to cool down because me and Mikey are about to go mix this Japanese metal band, Nemophilia, at Aftershock pretty soon here. And Aftershock is like notoriously just a squelcher.
But you're gonna be kind of like in a furnace a little bit.
Yeah, just a little.
There's gonna be misters everywhere, just not by you because of the equipment. So don't worry about that.
How convenient.
And that's a big show. That's 3 days of solid metal, 60 bands probably with 3 major headliners. And
we got Kiss our night.
Night's Kiss.
I think me and Mike had decided we're gonna stick around and go and see them. I've never seen Kiss, so it's like I got.
Okay, so you have to see Kiss. It's a bucket list band.
It definitely is.
Eventually Gene will actually end the tour. I doubt it.
At some point.
But it could happen.
Yeah.
200 years from now. This right now is supposed to be the Final Kiss tour, but I'm old and I've seen many Final Kiss tours and Final Neil Diamond tours, and I know, it's.
Well, I'm looking forward to it.
So don't worry
I'm
about
excited.
that.
Me and
But
Mikey finally.
you guys will have fun. Kiss bring a very specific show, and they throw out they're going to do the whole thing for you. Gina will probably spit up a little blood. There's going to be some fire. There's going to be some confetti. And
Good
there's going to be
times.
some rock and roll. You'll have fun.
I love it.
Yeah, and I think that lineup you have too that day that you're there, and that band you're playing with, dude, they're pretty crazy. Like,
Yeah,
checking it
it's
out.
like a new age kind of metal band.
I don't know what the hell it was.
All small Japanese ladies, and they kill it. They're really,
they
really
were
good.
kind of surprising, like the sound and then the whole the words and the picture didn't line up with what they were doing.
It really doesn't.
Like, you imagine one thing because you're dumb or something, or I don't know what I imagined, but it wasn't what I heard. And
Totally.
when I was like, shit, that's actually pretty friggin' good.
Yes, we're looking forward to it.
yeah.
I'm excited
Have
to
fun
do a
with
gig
that.
with Mike after being on the road for a while. I always enjoy doing gigs with him, so
Yeah,
it'd be nice to get out of the house with him.
Yeah, you guys are little Bobsy twins.
Yeah, totally.
It's very nice.
Yeah.
Well, two highly skilled fellas going after the nickels on these cool little one-offs. It's pretty sweet, and that's going to be that's going to be the atmosphere there. Can you please, any gear you take to that show, will you bring it back for me, please? Okay.
I'll do my best.
No, I need you to do better than that. I need you to just bring it all
I'm
back.
known for this, everybody.
Okay.
Out of all the tours I've been out on, I might have broken things, but I've never lost anything. There's that. Put that on my resume.
That's good.
I may
man.
not have never broken something, but I haven't.
It's something you can rest in. Just start with that when you're being interviewed for the next one.
Let me tell you, I've broken some shit. That was like the first day I
I'll
worked
never
here.
leave
I
it
broke.
behind, no.
I broke the first day at this shop. I'll keep it short so we can get to the interview. But first day I was here, they had this tablet I was pushing around, scanning some show,
that one you
and
broke. Yeah.
fucking dumped it over, broke the screen first day. I was pretty sad.
Remember when you took the forklift and hit the?
Oh yeah. You remember when you did that and
You
tried to
remember
blame
that?
it on
That
me?
was awesome.
I love it. Yeah.
You know what? I know I didn't do it for real. Like I'm sitting here talking to you right now, just me and you, right? Like serious. Mm-hmm. And I kind of think you must not have done it either.
You know
You're
what?
really serious about this.
Because you're
like,
really,
many
really
fucking
right.
years. Well, I thought you were just being a pussy, or excuse me, just being a chicken, and not owning up for some horrible ass shit that accidentally happened.
You know what?
In this big ass building.
You know what? We'll talk
And-
after, but I have no shame in
I'm
hitting
actually
something.
starting to come around on this.
Yeah.
Because it could have been.
People make mistakes.
Oh well, obviously that happened, but that just step the fuck up. Like, oh, I made a boo boo. We need to correct that right there before I open the door and it drops on my fucking head.
Exactly.
Again, I'm getting excited over some shit. I apologize. Excuse me, for people. Never mind. But I think I'm finally on your team on this one.
I hope so.
I think I finally buy it. I'm not kidding. I'm really serious now. All right. Oh, I wanted to mention Greg when we were having this little soiree yesterday, and the cookies and the muffins and all the. He brought in some. He just got before he took Metallica. He was out with Alice Cooper.
Of course.
And he brought us some hot sauce, some Alice Cooper's Normal Mr. Nice Guy hot sauce. You guys should try it out. It's actually really good.
You like it?
You know who else does well with that is fucking what's his name from Offspring. Remember he gave us that something Bandito. I don't know. It's almost identical.
Bandito.
What was it called?
El Gringo Bandito.
El Gringo Bandito.
El Gringo Bandito. Man,
That's right.
that was surprisingly good. And I'm not historically a fan of these types of hot sauces, but that was really, really good. And of course, he gave us some Rockstar Dust, which is,
that's kind
for
of
like barbecuing with. That's very sweet. He's a good man. We love that guy very much. It is a pleasure to have you with me tonight. Thank you so much for all you do. I'm glad you're here.
brother.
I got us a special guest this evening, a person that I've been wanting to have on for quite a long time. And then a thing came up, an important, serious thing came up, and it put a stopper in between our timing. And I'm lucky enough that it got all settled and worked out. We'll talk about it a little bit on the show. But so we're lucky. We got this wonderful guest tonight. There's some people that hold down a lane. I was talking to our guest earlier about this. There's people that take and go out and tour, and there's people that probably 70% of our business is the guys that handle the local stuff and the regional stuff, the stuff in their basic general area. There are 3 states, as it were, and that is the biggest part of this work. That is the bread and butter of what we do. They take the corporates, they take the university stuff, they take the local gigs. It's a really an important spot in the game. I've got a guy tonight that's, he started out doing stuff for the Patti Smith Group. He's worked with people like Devo and the Pretenders. Drum teched out for Duke Jupiter. I want to talk to him about that. Worked in the IATSE for, God, I think over 20 years. That's an interesting line I want to speak with him about. He recently survived a little health incident, and it's a sweetheart of a guy. It is the one and only Jules Corcimiglia. I hope I got that right. Did I get the last part?
Very, very nicely done. On a phonetic sense, I think the Italian club would kick you out because they go Corcimiglia.
See, I like to know the difference there. I know.
I won't stick a horse's head in your bed or anything because of that, but it could get ugly.
Well, I knew I had to be careful when I saw that crazy Italian last name. I was kind of raised as an Italian person under the name Rincuso, and that CH in there is a Q. And you're right, you got to get that right. You can't Rincucio it because it looks like Rincucio, but it's Rincuso, and that's I know phonetically that can be very important for some folks. And
it worked. It worked. I'm here.
Yes, thank you. I mentioned, I hinted, I alluded to that, we had booked, me and you had talked about you coming on, it must have been now 3 or 4 months ago, 2 or 3 months ago. I don't know I'm not good that way, but it was back in the day. And then you had a pretty serious health scare, buddy.
Yeah, well, I mean, the first thing that happened was work got kind of over my head.
Yes.
And I pushed a couple dates on the calendar that I guess my reading skills went into lapse mode and I messed up. And then I was scheduled for a colonoscopy, which is an old guy thing. I've been 65 years old in a week. So I had my 10-year anniversary of a colonoscopy. I went to the colonoscopy. It looked like everything was good. They cut me loose. Within 4 or 5 days, I was doubled over. I was at the ER till 4 o'clock in the morning. They put me in the hospital. They said, "Man, your gallbladder is really messed up. It's septic. It's leaking. It's ugly. We're going to take it out." So they took it out. And within 2 days, I was home. I was fine till the cut of antibiotics that they gave me ran out, and then I was like, bam, I was done. I was a zombie. I couldn't even read a magazine.
Yeah.
My head was spinning. I was in pain. They went back to the surgeon. I had this infection called C. diff, which I guess the good thing, it's not the flesh-eating bacteria, but the bad thing is it could still kill you.
Yeah.
So they loaded me up with antibiotics, sent me home. Within 2 or 3 days, I was starting to feel human. And then 3 weeks later, after the course of antibiotics ran out, I'm back to work. I'm in my lovely little hobbit hole here right now, working on some maintenance of gear. But yes, that's how the circle was completed, and said dragon is now munching on its tail.
and you look great. I got to give you that. You look good. You sound good. You feel good. Are you feeling better?
I'm feeling 100%, Vince. I'm it's
so good.
A near-death experience, not to be overdramatic, is always something that enlightens you to really appreciate life. Mm-hmm. But I've always kind of gone down that path anyway, man. I appreciate the cards that I'm dealt. I'm not going to whine. I like my gig. I'm a fan of this industry, or else I probably wouldn't have taken this path. I probably would have made more money doing other things.
Yeah.
But I've met so many incredibly talented people. And just to preface before our conversation gets too deep, thanks for letting me in the varsity team for this one night, man.
Seriously.
There's some serious talent that have crossed through the ether on your show, and some of them I know, some of them I don't know, but I admire. It's a remarkable industry, and more people on the punter side, not to be demeaning, really have to understand what goes on in a show, whether it's a 2,000-seat soft house with an intimate surrounding of a band that you've heard all the years and years, or it's a big bombastic in-your-face stadium or country rock or rock show. They really have to understand that the folks that are doing this are incredibly smart, talented, gifted, and they have a love for the industry and seeing people have a good time in the seats. So that's where I'm starting with all this.
Well, that your heart is pure. We know. Listen, you are on the team because of the person that you are and the work that you've done. You have put in your time, and we, like I said, we wanted to get you on the show for quite some time. So we feel very happy and honored that you're on the show. And thank you for the kind words. It's very sweet. We've been very lucky on the show. I can't deny that. We've actually had some kind of badass motherfuckers. At the same time, I like to think you and I are just the same. We love this job. We really play it and live it and do it. And so we're just talking with some of the friends that do the same and sharing our experiences. And it comes down to that. And so we reached out to you. I got to ask you, how did you come to the game? How did you get your start in it?
I got in a car accident. Sophomore of high school, I put my hand through a dashboard. It was either an Opel Diplomat or Cadet, and smashed my left wrist up really poorly and messed up, and started hanging around with the dark side. Instead of playing football and basketball, I was hanging around with older folks that were musicians, some of them in college, and moved along into hanging around with the local crowd that was buying sound reinforcement gear at a local hire company that was also doing some retail, Shure dealer, JBL dealer, Brighton Sound, Rochester, New York, that was located on State Street. So every couple of weeks we'd drive in and buy some gear and then take it back home and blow it up. And, in the local band scene, and start a deep love for big black boxes and heavy things that made things louder, and little amplifiers that would blow up back in the 73, 74 time period. And moved along with that. A friend of mine was kind of involved with another friend's sister, Ivan Krall. His father was a diplomat from Czechoslovakia. He came to school in Geneseo. We reconnected. He was down in New York City playing guitar with Patti Smith. And he kind of convinced me that I could be a guitar tech. But, I failed horribly at that because we went to Europe and did like some fly dates, and we took a little rig out. It was run by N-Tech, a British PA company, and I was more enthralled with the UK PA systems and the engineers from N-Tech and the very early iterations of monitor consoles. And I washed out of that, and I went back to Rochester and started working with Brighton Sound, and in particular a local band called Duke Jupiter, whose first album was produced by Rolling Stones music director Chuck Leavell. I was monitor guy and drum tech, and rolled with them off and on, plus many one-offs with Brighton Sound. So in the short compressed relationship, like a 3-to-1 ratio, that's my existence as to how I started knocking on the door of audio and sound reinforcement.
Well, the Duke Jupiter thing's fascinating to me, and you got your kind of first taste of doing Mons there. Do you have I have this ongoing philosophy that they're kind of two different people in positions, although most of us have taken our time, especially coming up in the old days of the game where you kind of just covered the bases that needed to be covered. That was always the way it was done. Do you have a preference one way or another about being out front or doing Mons?
I had a great time doing monitors. It was unfortunate that my the gear that I was using didn't go in line with my talents or abilities at the time. I mean, I had more comprehension of what the gear could do, but we had no budget. We had a monitor system that we schlepped around with DC 300s, Yamaha 2050 amplifiers, and biamp crossovers, 4 mixes, and we had a monitor console called Malachi, which I believe was a company out of Oregon. That the thing was a literal smoke machine if you wanted to.
Yeah. Well,
I've heard so many stories about this desk.
No, dude. Like, well, first of all, every machine can be a smoke machine.
Well,
this had a specific capacity to go there real easy.
Or a bagel toaster. It had enough room in the back where once it was fired up, it could warm your coffee and get your bagel really perfect.
Yeah.
But I worked on that. We moved to an audio arts monitor system, and then I kind of transcended from that to work with Brighton Sound, doing one-offs, whatever became a Brighton Sound.
Sure.
We did more one-offs than we did tours at the time, and Duke Jupiter always had a real soft spot in my heart, and that's where I coined my monitor philosophy back then with 4 mixes, was to never make eye contact.
That's awesome.
That might be one of those for the advice part of the show. Yeah, good.
That was
Very
the
funny.
successful path to doing monitors with 4 mixes and 4 musicians.
Yeah.
The best time I had was we opened up a show with Toto, and I got to meet Dirk Schubert, and of course the Toto rig at that point. And he was a kind, gentle soul, and he took us through everything. We thought we were hot shit because we had a Yamaha GS2, and I think Toto had like 2 Yamaha GS1s. This is back in the early 80s.
Right.
We're a bunch of kids, basically. Not the band, the crew.
Yeah.
The band were incredibly talented and
Hell yeah.
much loved people.
Yeah.
But it was a lesson in monitors. They had like 12 mixes or whatever, Gamble consoles, Midas PR40s for keyboard rigs, and so it was like that's what monitors could be. And I'm schlepping a Malachi trying to do 4 mixes on stuff that was, had the risk of catching fire. So I would rather at that point say I walked into working for a hire company more so than a band.
Yeah, no, I got you. But that leads to, there's so many paths that can open. It depends on how you take that one. But you're constantly working with new bands coming through at any given part of their career, and you get to deal with a lot of different, like you said, you got to kind of take a little, have Dirk kind of lay down his philosophy to you in real time with the real boards as they were fresh and new, shiny and glistening. Can you imagine that? See,
that must have been Dirk and John Ostrin and him.
I have no idea. All I know is I'm trying to visualize that moment, and what a special moment that is, because he is. Yeah. That right there is the big fish that I will never be able to harpoon, because he actually doesn't believe he has enough to talk about for 40 minutes. It's
well, he didn't have to. I mean, he was dealing with so many plates spinning in the air, and all sorts of cream chip beef on toast on top of the stuff spinning around that he had to keep on the plates.
That's right.
He didn't have to sit around and talk. He walked through everything with me. It was greatly appreciated. And that's when I realized that, I think I knew it all along. My forte was better off serving a hire company and doing one-offs, or, trying to catch a tour, which we went back out with Duke Jupiter. That's where I crossed paths with Robert Scoville. We were both out with, he was out with the headliner Shooting Star. It was a co-bill. It was Duke Jupiter had a song called I'll Drink to You, and it was sponsored by Stroh's Brewery. We did all the clubs in the Midwest, and it was like, Robert's monitor guy for Shooting Star, I'm monitor guy for Duke Jupiter. We met in the middle kind of thing.
Yeah.
And Robert was as big of a gentleman and a gracious human being back then as he is now.
He's so good.
Aside from the hair, nothing has changed.
Yeah, and the vest. He ditched the vest.
Yeah, the vest was pretty cool. I think they smoked that in the back lounge once.
Probably right. But yeah, that hair hits. But no, you're right. What a just an officer and a gentleman, man. He is the captain, and he was our first guest. Robert Scola was our first guest, and I think our third because we screwed up the first show. No, we had the sound was all wrong. But we aimed big, and we reached out to the sweetheart of a man. You're absolutely right, and you're right. That's what a great story. What a formative story of the days of when this was really starting to become the science was starting to get involved. The technology was starting to come. There was a cool thing getting into the club, and then just the love of music. And Jules here with a strong love for the technology, and that was a sweet spot. That's when it started developing and really getting where you could do stuff with some gear. You worked at the Triangle Theater in Rochester, New York. Now, this is a place that had some history. I mean,
absolutely.
you know, that was just a stop on the eastern part of the tour. There is, you know, and I mean, talk to us about working at that. To me, really one of the pivotal places in the Northeast that you had to stop in and do, and you know, had its own. Rochester's a very specific crowd. It's, you know, you can do the punk shows there, you can do the mid-sized rock shows there, you can pretty much do George Benson there, and yeah, it was just a special place.
The Triangle Theater was run by a promoter called Ted Boylan, and I believe his brother or cousin was a songwriter from the 70s named Terrence Boylan. But Ted had some money behind him. He was a another really gracious human being. He kept us all going, working when a lot of us came off the road. A guy that I worked with at Brighton Sound, Carl Gatt, worked with Patti Smith, Sea Level, Chuck Leavell's solo jazz band, amongst many others. Came off the road in the 80s. He put the venue online. We had a great deal with IATSE Local 25, some other wonderful human beings, Local 25 in Rochester, New York, really hardworking folks. To this day, fast loadouts records are being set at the shed that they do and the hockey rink they do. Anyway, we had a deal with the IATSE that we would use their follow spot operators and their projectionists when needed. But we were the scab crew, and I mean that with all the affection of just loving cousins. Everybody was great. Yeah. And we did on Friday nights, we would do the Neil Young Rust Never Sleeps movie. They'd shoehorn like 500 people in the place. Then 3 days down the line, we'd be having the Pretenders do their first walk through the U.S. We had Def Leppard in 80, 81. And that's how the T-shirt, "It's Better to Burn Out Than Fade Away," came with a big T on the front of it. That was given to I don't believe it went to Joe. I'm not sure who it went to, but we were all eating at the catering, which was in like the back hallway of this place. It was kind of like a Masonic temple community center, dance hall. And the Def Leppard guys were so young and they couldn't believe how big the U.S. was at that point. Yeah, it's pretty big. And the distance between Rochester and Cleveland, it was like
mind-blowing for them.
Going from London to Birmingham and then up to Scotland somewhere. The whole process of the mileage was just frightening to them. But again, Brighton Sound PA, we were the stage crew, as well as I double dipped for Brighton Sound. And it was a magical show. And then we would do Devo, we would do Judas Priest, we would do, you name it. Like you said, everybody walked through there. It was an experience that got me into the knocking on the door and having the door for Local 25 open up and getting a variety of, stagehand positions.
So you're feeling with I have a generally good feeling about the IATSE, particularly 113, 35.
16.
16's good. Yeah, I mean, we've had good experiences with a lot
134.
134 is good, and I've had a couple not so good ones. 8 comes to mind. 8 comes right to mind. And a couple times with 1 too.
Jones Beach?
But in your experience, IATSE, thumbs up?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, I'm intimately involved with them. I mean, I took a withdrawal card in 2016 because I really wasn't working enough, and my house position didn't really require me to have a card. But I mean, I see younger stagehands coming through here, and they're all hardworking. I would say 80% of them really want to learn the craft. The other one, they want to know where's catering and what time are we going to leave. But that's anybody and everybody.
I think that's any group of people. Yeah, you're going to have a percentage that rocks like that. Yeah.
Rochester Local 25 is made up with a lot of really talented people, and it goes to kind of like, I don't know, there's no connection, but Rochester has such a beginning to the audio industry, to the sound reinforcement industry, to the technology that kind of built where we are now, whether it's Joel Silverman, Steve Nider, Billy Thompson from Ashley Audio, and many other hire companies that gets, but Local 25 is so accustomed to dealing with a lot of the personalities that come off the road. And when I was involved with it, I was obviously off the road and from the other side. And I said, look, man, these people that are coming off the bus, they're tired. They haven't seen their family. Think about it for a minute. They know more about their gear than you will ever know. So walk in and listen. And I think that's the philosophy that's kept with Local 25. And there's always a bunch of really hard-working people, and they do a remarkable job. And I've never had any issues with them. And I've worked with them for like 25 years.
Well, Jesus Christ, that is a glowing recommendation and very kind of you. Yeah, it sounds like, your neck of the woods is a fun place to do what you do. Tell us what type of shows. You work out of the University of Rochester Eastman Theater. Talk to us about like a day in the life.
Well, the Eastman Theater, just to give you a little background, you can just like interject two names, Steve Gadd and Tony Levin.
Okay.
So that's essentially the Eastman School of Music, that almost anybody in the music business is going to recognize those names. Those two folks matriculated through the Eastman School of Music program. And, we have, for the past 12 years, have had an Eastman Presents series, plus we do the Rochester International Jazz Festival. Now it's the CGI Jazz Festival, but we've kind of slowed down right now because of the still trying to recover from post-pandemic structures of audience. We have so many wonderful musicians that walk through, students, and a lot of my sound reinforcement for that is supporting the bigger band jazz shows that we do. Two of the studio engineers that we have on staff will come in and mix. I'll tech a rig. I have a rig in the air, a Meyer rig that we use to support all the shows that come through. It's MSL 4s, CQs, mica cabinets, 700 HPs. I have that rig and some front fills, Yupa boxes, and I'll support the event with that. But there's also some esoteric stuff that we do where some of the orchestras want localized sound, like coming from just areas of the orchestra. So it can be, a flip of the switch to do something different almost every single season. But it's unfortunate now that we're kind of on hiatus from the Eastman Presents. But we did, a solid 12 years of the Rochester International Jazz Festival. I put the PA system in the air. The next week, my first show was 2 nights with Jeff Beck. An 8 o'clock show and an 11 o'clock show. And the front of house guy was Ben Findley from Peter Gabriel's Real World Studio.
Well, damn.
That was the first engineer that came in from the road that after a system that I put in and teched. He was the first guy to actually mix a show on it. And you'd think I was sweating bullets, man. Yeah. I was looking for just make sure I had my car keys in case I had to leave early.
Was Ben kind? Did he bring out your system and find everything appropriate?
He was another true gentleman. He asked a couple things and we walked the room together and he was happy. And I was like, this is great. This is going to be a ride on the beach. And it was fine. So everything worked, but it's still, I kind of knew that was going to be okay, but I was still like that guy, I'm still a fan, right? I'm just hoping that everything lines up and the technology was there. The math was done. Everything worked, knock on wood. It's been that way ever since. We've had more successes with the rig in the air and more outside shows, whether it's Herbie Hancock, whether it's Tedeschi trucks, anybody that comes in, some people they hang a J-rig upstage of it because they're paying for it. Obviously, it's in the truck. They're going to use it, and they're more accustomed to it. But I would say that's probably 3 out of the 200 shows we've done.
Oh shit! That small of a percentage.
Yeah, it's been. Well, Brian Wilson came in. Dirk's SSG rig. They put up a J-rig. Bonnie Raitt would always put up a J-rig. Tedeschi trucks put up a J-rig. But most everybody walks in and uses the rig in the air. And, that's my legacy. I'm going to walk out when I reach my sell-by date. I think that stuff's still going to be in the air and still functioning.
Yeah, well, it sounds like that's what they're coming in and saying to themselves. Sometimes there is this need, you got it in the trucks, like you said. Bonnie's coming to town, I mentioned earlier, and she will be bringing she'll be bringing her thing, and that's good. That's fine. We do, that's a business decision. But it sounds like when people have arrived at the Eastman, that they take a look, they analyze the system, and they say, regardless of what we have out there, this will make it happen. This will be good for our show. This will handle our needs. And that's a special thing because hell, you just came in from a tour, and, it's pretty common to want to fly your rig regardless of what's in the building.
I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Michael Lawrence, I forget what venue it is, and I'm pissed that I don't remember now, but the one system that we got to get away from this Claire i3 rig that Chicago had. Yeah. Oh. Crazy. Fucking A, man. It was awesome.
Yeah, and Michael's Signal and Noise podcast, and just really an outstanding audio person, to say the least. And he just, I believe, wrote a book that came out either yesterday or a couple of days ago. There's some argument about when the book came out, but it was recently, and you should check it out because Michael Lawrence is a very intelligent guy, and he's very good at what he does.
It sounds like a very similar venue setup. It's like when you go to fucking, what's the casino out in my neck of the woods there?
Cash.
Foxwoods. It's
okay,
like, that you're like taken care of when you go there. Like most of the time they keep the PA in, and it's Steve's doing. Yeah. Steve's the guy that runs that place. Yeah. I'm sure Jules' place is the exact same because Jules is a very solid dude.
Yeah, he knows his shit. It really helps when you know your shit. You know what you're looking for. You know your thing.
Totally.
I can't hear Jules, guys.
Jules is here.
Hi,
yeah.
Oh, there he is.
The rig that we have is also the big selling point, obviously, because it kind of covers the room really well, is the fact that it's downstage of the proscenium. Anybody that comes in is going to be limited. They're going to have to deal with a fire curtain, which actually has to play. And they're going to hang well upstage and into the essentially into the aperture of the stage. And, line arrays will still have a little bit of low end coming off the back of them in that short of an area to be that close to the upstage wall. There's 35, 40 feet, but there's still a lot of stuff that's not making it into the hall. Yeah. So it's difficult to fly a line array in those 4 points that you can actually access. So that's a selling point. People do it, and they do like when Pappy was mixing Bonnie Raitt, he did a remarkable job. I would give him the top 3 boxes of my micas just to have a little help to get up to the upper balconies because the rake was rather steep. Yeah. But no, nobody ever had any problems bringing in a rig or dealing with our rig. We've always had more successes than anybody scratching their heads wondering why it's doing what it's doing.
I can imagine.
It sounds like you got it dialed in, man. That's a very fucking sweet thing. Working the big shows at like places like Silver Stadium or War Memorial, New York. Are these places even still with it? Are they still entities?
No, the Silver Stadium's not existent anymore. There's a ballpark that they do one-offs. There's a local hire company that we use for the Jazz Festival for consoles, audio images, run by Sebastian Marino, a real solid human being, solid people, solid company. They have staging, everything you could possibly imagine, video. They do a lot of the stuff at the Silver Stadium. They did the outside events for the Jazz Festival, the free stages, the other venues, the satellite venues. Again, Rochester, hotbed for hire companies. We have another one, Applied Audio, which is a hire company rental house. They do some of the smaller Jazz Festival rooms and a couple of the amphitheaters that exist. The Silver Stadium's long gone. The Dead show, we did U2 there with John Scher Presents. It was a pretty intense show. October 87, it snowed. It was really kind of cold and ugly, but the show day was bright and beautiful. Wow. The Dead show was like just a week of things constantly changing. Yeah. MSL 10A is up on forklifts. That was kind of interesting. Yeah.
They get creative, don't they?
Everybody survived. The best part about that was Robbie Taylor taking a road flare in the backstage area and lighting off bottle rockets into this Union Carbide facility that was behind the stadium, trying to get the tanks to blow up or something. I don't know. It was pretty, walking the tightrope. But that place doesn't exist anymore. But we do have the hockey rink, the War Memorial. I think the most recent show they've had there was Megadeth. But like I said, I'm kind of detached from that right now. I've been called a cave fish. I keep over in my side of the cave and swim out occasionally.
That's awesome.
Well, describe a day in the life. I mean, how do you keep yourself busy? You're not doing shows every single day, but you're full time at Eastman, right? I mean, that's your house. You run that thing full time. Is part of the allure, the consistency, the lure, the rigors of traveling and being a touring. I mean, you could take your game on the road and be you, and it would be a great service to many bands. You've made a conscious choice, right?
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy sleeping in my own bed.
Yeah.
I saw the consistency of being in one venue. I certainly do not run the place. We have a concert office that manages that tightrope of the academic stuff that we run through, as well as dealing with a promoter. We have a promoter, John Nugent, who runs the Jazz Festival, a real straight shooter, wonderful guy, who runs our Jazz Festival events. And then the concert office runs our Eastman Presents shows. And my immediate superior is actually, I started with a colleague, a stagehand friend of mine who came up. He was my boss, and then he retired last year. And one of the younger guys took over, Dan Mason. His family goes back into the union, like 50 years. Great boss. He runs most of the administrative stuff, and my gig is easy. I just shut up and wait for somebody to tell me what to do. I have technology at my disposal. We have 3 studios that are hooked up to this. One of them has a SSL duality console and a whole bunch of outboard gear to make recordings.
Yeah,
then there's
cool.
another SSL console, and then there's one in the basement with a 70s vintage Neve. We're a music school, a conservatory, so we record every single show that goes on in the place. We have a staff of recording engineers, probably 6 or 8 of them, that are working constantly. And like I said, I get a load of information down my pipe, and I deal with it. Handle the maintenance and the sound reinforcement, and dealing with a union crew of plugging most of the stuff in for the outside events. And then when the Jazz Festival comes in, I'm kind of like I'm the promoter rep to some degree of advancing the shows, getting the gear, the lighting, the audio, and putting it in the air and doing that, plus the Eastman Presents show. We did our last Eastman Presents show, and I think it was March of 2020. It was a Bobby McFerrin show. And that was our last show. And that was the last thing we did with the Eastman Presents series. And the Eastman Presents series was a pretty wide range of talent. It could be, stuff all over the place. Bobby McFerrin, we did, like I said, we did Diana Krall. We've done everybody and anybody coming through the place. So it's just, like I said, I shut up and hopefully get told what to do, and I try to manage it as best as I can. And I'm blessed to have had a gig like that for 27 years, and be able to sleep in my own bed. Yeah,
you hit a few different points there that I completely understand. The Eastman Presents thing, is this going to present a problem? Is there somebody that you guys are hoping will come in and re-beatify your system with a supportive concert series?
Yeah, I think so. We have a John Schofield gig on the books for Eastman Presents, so it's cool. It's coming to term. We also do the local orchestra, the Rochester Philharmonic, and they do a pop series. Probably offhand, I'm guessing probably 7 or 8 pop series every season. And they roll with that. A lot of movie shows seem to be very popular, plus their normal Philharmonic stuff. And there's always stuff going on with them. As in any arts organization, God bless them, man, they're struggling. They're trying to keep it, lights on too.
Yeah,
and
crazy times.
we see them all the time, and I think people, unfortunately, to come inside are still a little weary. Rochester is a very conservative environment.
Yeah.
And I mean, the Jazz Festival this past year did remarkable business, but all the bigger events were outside. And that was just really impressive seeing people come out. But unfortunately, the promoter was a little weary, and I can't blame him to try to get stuff inside. This was in June.
It makes perfect sense. It actually does, and it goes to the question of like, what do you think the future holds? You have such a unique, kind of a fish tank, a situation where it has a very specific requirements and could bring up specific concerns in this unique environment we find ourselves in. I hope that you're coming out the other side like we see a lot is happening throughout the business, and that things are bucking up over there, because it sounds like you got a really sweet spot and that you're doing really good things. I can't help but notice, me and you are fans of a similar inventor, builder, maker, creator, right over your shoulder.
That's total product placement.
I thought that was a Coca-Cola back there. I thought that was Subway. Yeah, I'm with you, baby. I'm so with you. I brought mine too because I knew we had this in common. And we are rare fish, okay, buddy? Like you said, you're a cave fish. I'm not that dissimilar. That you're a cave fish with great audio sense that understands industrial design and just form and function, man. Tell me your opinion. I will stop sullying the waters.
I bought it sight unseen, ears not hearing it. I knew, like I said, I mean, the selling point was the fact that Bernie is Bernie.
Right.
And
he's amazing.
Prior to buying that, I was hanging with Robert out at one of the local sheds, CMAC in Canandaigua, New York. Very beautiful place.
Yeah, lovely.
And I came in after hip surgery, and I'm walking like a gimp with my cane, and I'm watching the Anya rig go in the air. Now I knew about the Anya rig. I've never heard it.
Yeah.
And Vic Wagner and Robert were speaking a language known only to them. Unfortunately, I didn't have the decoder ring, so I was completely out of the loop. And it was like, after hearing that rig, and I'm hobbling around the place because it's a weird sounding shed with these boxes that jut out in front of it. The coverage was incredible. And obviously Robert is a master of his craft.
He's extraordinarily good, yes.
Plus he's got the best rock and roll band in the world with the most talented musicians in the world, plus the most intensely efficient and accurate road crew that was ever functioning. Those guys were just, kept everything oiled and on the track where it should be. And that rig covered and sounded incredible. And so when the Curie was introduced, it was a no-brainer.
Yeah.
And, I shelled my, $890, whatever it was, out without even thinking. I want that. I want it in O Canada red, and I want it tomorrow.
Yeah.
I think Bernie said I was like number one, when as soon as the thing came online, because I was watching it. I knew I had to have it.
That's very cool.
I'm listening to it. I show it to everybody. They can't believe it. They look at it. They listen to it. Then it's like, it's the best. Buy it. And he says, could you write something for the webpage? I'm thinking, I could lay out a bunch of facts. The guy has worked for Adamson, L Acoustics, EAW, everybody. He's forgotten more about speaker design than I'll ever comprehend. And I'm thinking to myself, the only thing I can say is buy it, listen to it. You want to come to my house and listen to it? Come over. I'll make you a coffee. We'll listen to it. Anybody that wants to come to my office and listen to it, listen to it. And it's by far the best money I've ever spent on a speaker. And I bought it's just sight unseen, never listen to it. And I would advise anybody to buy it.
That is very sweet, because I feel like I get overly excitable about it, but
Dude,
I really
mine rips.
love
I love it so much too.
He has one as well. Michael has one. The Octopus has one. Our executive producer, and of course we were in that line with you. It was a cue. We were kind of lucky, so we could sneak over once in a while and hear him testing, because he was testing for like ever. Like, he put so much time into dialing it.
He really did.
What it became, and what a hell of a product. What a hell of a guy. You're not wrong. And that crew that you were talking about, That early Anya, EAW, Bernie, Scoville.
Yeah,
everybody
shout out
crew,
to Vic Wagner
that
and
was
Matt
like the big
McQuaid,
brain
dude.
crew from hell, you know.
Those guys are amazing.
Because the system required it, especially at that time, and the understanding and making it work. And they were taking on these big challenges like Wrigley Field and blah blah, and so that's anybody who knows that place is a nightmare to make right. And you can though, it turns out, and it takes Vic, right? and Robert Scoville and Bernie Broderick and this $1 million worth of crazy kill technology. And that very rig is actually sitting behind us right now.
Yeah, it's the world's most expensive backdrop. It's remarkable.
Totally, he nailed it.
That is so good.
Somebody
Jules.
said that in the
I
comments
thank my
like
brother
last
one
year.
more time, George Edwards, the boss of this operation, for allowing me to sit in front of this, because it goes out in the field. It just came from, what did it do last? I don't know. It just came from thing, but it has wheels, so we just roll it.
That could be the fun fact of the show day.
Take it in and out.
How many drivers do you have behind Vince Edwards' head?
Oh my God, the math, you'd really have to get a calculator. There's 22 times what?
and what, $35,000 a box? You're looking at some heavy duty technology there. Yeah. And Robert teased it a little bit with one of his YouTube channels where, my God, man, the Red Rocks rig that went up.
Yeah.
And he did a little 7-8 minute process. It's like, dude, make that a series. Let's do a show with Robert and Bernie, and let's talk about that rig in the field.
It's funny because I don't know that specific, that last part, but the idea of them coming together and a more technical kind of a talk show has definitely been batted around. I've been involved in the discussion, and that would be really cool. A great one. And you could spend a wealth of time in that subject alone, because there's a lot to know, and there was a lot it took to get it to where it is now, to where you can put it out there in the field consistently and have it do what it does.
Well, there's a couple of them that he's installed that are like that, but Red Rocks is special because most people just go with the outline rig, and they let those dudes put it up. Most of the time, right?
It's a tricky spot, man. On the best day, it's a tricky spot.
Yeah, for them to nailed it that perfect. I've heard stories about that.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple, but the base nectar one is awesome.
That's why there's a meter
one.
there.
Yeah,
that's why there's an accumulative dollar sign.
People got banned. That's real.
I got a picture of it. Maybe I'll send it to you. You can post it.
I would love that. I would love that very much. Listen, man, you've been doing this for a long time. You've been holding down the fort. We've worked with every friggin' cool band, in and out. You do your thing on to the next one. You're a gear pro. I'd kill to have a guy like you in my world taking care of the fort. It goes without saying. You have got to have some advice for the youngsters out there, the 7 people watching this that want to know how to do well and get to the spot like where you've gotten to, or where some of the old pros have gotten to. What kind of advice would you give the youngsters?
Number one, don't try to do what I tried to do. What I did. Go above me, man. Watch Robert Scoville's videos. Go on every single manufacturer's website and videos. Learn the craft, obviously. Develop your ear. Listen to the music, and move in such a fashion where you're a humble human being, and learn an analog gain path before you walk into the digital environment. And again, keep plugging at it, but don't try to be me. Try to be, Greg Price, Brad Maddox, Robert, the engineers that are out touring and functioning at a highest level of professionalism, making live performances sparkle and happen. I'm an insignificant little dot on the map. I'm just a guy who's really damn lucky to have a house gig.
We're lucky to. I think we're lucky to wake up and work in this. Every day. Not to be. Thank you. Apparently, I've been hitting my mic all the interview. I apologize for that. No, I think we're damn lucky to be in the positions that we are, to have the problems that we do, Jules. I mean, man, and it's just waking up every day and trying to make good decisions, and you jam them all together and you come up with good outcomes. You are essential in this business, my friend. Your experience.
I'm happy. What can I tell you?
Yeah. And, you're a guy that knows the game. You can walk the walk with the best of us. You made a decision. It is not a lesser decision. I speak to this all the time. Sure, Scoville's had a kind of, there's only can be 5 of them. And Maddox and Scoville and Price and Pooch and, like that. And Francis, Toby, maybe Dave Morgan. We got to put Dave in there. Just
they absolutely. They can
the Yak, man. Jim's not up on there.
See, because he's just sharp, man. You're not wrong, dude. But there can only be those guys at that level. There's still all of us that do what we do and make this whole happen, and we're equally 100%. Important.
But I'm not a teacher. They are teachers. If you watch them closely and carefully, you can pick stuff out of them that will do better than any Full Sail career. Not to diminish Full Sail.
No.
But they are practical guys functioning in the real pressure cooker world of live sound reinforcement. They teach.
You're absolutely right.
Better than I could. So I'm saying, yes, I got a gig and I can pull I'm a fire extinguisher. I can pull the rabbit out of my hat if I had to, and I have. But the people that can teach are the ones you have to keep a close eye on, and that's all I'm saying. Identify those folks, travel and watch them.
It's good advice, and that's what I asked for, and that is good advice. And there's never been more of a plethora of information out there from really qualified hands that are really being this. And this wasn't when we came up. I don't know how you came up, but when I came up, this was different. This was the hot shots, the guys, our mentors were kind of keeping it close for shit until into the middle 90s, into the turn of the millennia. To be able to get straight from the horse's mouth, from Pooch, a master class, or did we lose my friend?
Uh-oh. What just happened?
All right. There he is. Hello, my friend. His machine probably went to sleep.
Yeah, it's not supposed to. I think I'm going to spill something in it after I'm done with it.
Nice.
Revenge. But to be able to hear straight from Pooch or go to a master class with Brad Maddox, or what we frequently get here when Scoville teaching to some of our kids, or Greg Price, doing literally one-on-ones with him on his own time. It's very sweet. And it's a magical time for people that they want to learn, and they want to learn from the best. You're right. Those pressure cooker cats are the guys to go to. But man, I appreciate you and your career and all you've done to hold down the fort for rock and roll, and that you're a very highly competent, responsible, cool guy that clearly understands good quality products and high-end audio. I want to congratulate you on your discretion on that one. Very good. I like that you're in the club. Thank you for coming to our show. I'm so happy that you're feeling better, my friend. There was a minute there I was sweating it for you, and it's
you
just
and me both.
We're men of a certain age. We got to stick together, buddy. Okay, just that's all I got to say about that. So if you need me or the crew of Beyond the Backstage Pass or Sound Image, please reach out, man. Really.
Hey, I love you guys, man. You really put it together, and I'm appreciative, 100%.
It's our honor to have you. Thank you so much. Please take good care of yourself, and we'll see you around. We'll keep in touch.
Gonna try.
Thanks. You, buddy. Bye-bye.
Bye, Kyle.
All right, Jules.
Safe travels, man.
Thank you, brother. Great hearing from you.
Thank you.
Well, lovely guest, just a cat that's done it all, can do it all, and really he's holding down that whole lane. And the history of some of the places and the spots, to get to see Devo and their first coming out of the game. Patti Smith Group was one of the really formative early rock and roll artists.
Totally.
That's just, and he's got this history all the way through, and he's very humble about it, but just a great interview. We do this every week, every Thursday at around 7 p.m. We try to get off the gate. We've got a lot of help from our crew here, and we appreciate them very much. Next week, we're going to have the great Chip Self. Chip Self's the CEO of Logic Systems. He has a couple of concerns. He also is the CEO and founder of Decorum and Signal. And he is... this guy is kind of a badass in the game. He's like I said, a small business owner, a very successful small business owner with some recent legal developments that were super positive and wonderful. We're gonna have him on next week and talk about the perils and pitfalls of being in the game, and being on the side of where you worry about cashing the checks and paying the people and doing all of that, and and to his own right, he's a very political fellow and a highly skilled technician in his own right. So we'll get him out here and talk about all that. We got 1,000 places people could go. We appreciate that you come and see us. I didn't get a chance. I never saw the screen once tonight. It was a little weird, but we're doing good. Please thank all the normal people that come and see us and the community that you've developed in the comments world. That's kind of cool, and we love that. Special shout out to this amazing, wonderful girl down in Monterey, California that I am madly in love with. See you soon, honey. And thanks to Sound Image and all the employees here that make this happen. Couldn't do it without you, George Edwards and Dave Shadone. Bingo. All right, we'll see you next week, Thursday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Until then, take good care of yourselves and behave. Bye-bye.